Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Tuesday, March 24th, 2026 Montgomery Township Board of Education meeting. Statement of open meeting and public participation. Pursuant to the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231 PL 1975, adequate notice as defined by Section 3D of Chapter 231 PL 1975 has been made by regular mail or email on the 11th day of January 2026 from the Board of Education offices maintained at 1014 Route 601, Skillman, New Jersey, to the following: the Courier News, Montgomery Township Clerk, and the Rocky Hill Borough Clerk. The board reserves the right to enter into executive session during all meetings of the Board of Education. It is the school board's intention to conclude this meeting no later than 9 p.m. Roll call, please, Mr. Taliano.
Dr. Wang?
Here.
Ms. Pfeffer? Present. Ms. Spina?
Present.
Ms. Franklin Herman?
Present.
Ms. Worley?
Here.
Ms. Harris?
Here.
Ms. Nunez? Present. Ms. Norgon?
Here.
Mr. Todd?
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please rise as we salute the flag. The flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll now have the superintendent report and presentations.
Good evening, everyone. Our Montgomery High School Science Olympiad team won their third consecutive state championship and has earned a place in the competition this May in Los Angeles. This marks our fourth state championship in 5 years and our program's 13th state championship. Congratulations. Excellence takes many forms, and this past weekend it took the stage. We could not be prouder of our incredible MHS cast, dedicated crew, talented pit orchestra, and outstanding staff who brought Mean Girls to life in such a powerful and joyful way. Upper middle school is officially in mission transition mode. Last week, 6th grade students toured UMS, met with Mr. Accardi and Ms. Moore, and were able to ask questions to the student council officers. The transition continued to Parent Information Night. We hope that all families and students feel supported and excited to join the UMS community. Spring sports are here. Students have completed their tryouts, filled out their teams, and they're ready for a great season. Thank you to the grounds crew for ensuring our fields are ready for student athletes. During Read Across America, Village Elementary School had the biggest collection of cereal box dominoes yet. Thanks to the incredible generosity of the school community, they collected 677 boxes of cereal for the Food Bank Network of Somerset County, making a difference in the lives of others. They also enjoyed hosting a number of very special guest readers from throughout the community, and thanks to the coordination of the MTEA. In early March, the young musicians in the village bands and orchestra took the stage at the Impact for the first time this year and did an amazing job. Village is proud of the impressive music in our Schools Month concerts and under the direction of the instrumental music teachers and their rehearsal assistants. We appreciate their guidance, leadership, and dedication. We have a lot of presentations tonight. We're going to start with, Mr. Delgado is here. He has a bunch of presentations. We're going to start with the National Merit Scholar Finalist Student Recognition.
Okay. I didn't know that was the order we're going in. Adele, do you have the Portrait of a Graduate slide deck?
Do you want to start there?
If I could, well, I could start here is fine, only because I have my National Merit Scholars on the last slide of this deck. So we can do this.
Let's start with that. Nope, we're going to start with the Portrait of a Graduate.
Listen, this is how we pivot, we adapt. We go. Okay. Okay, so Portrait of a Graduate. Merit Scholars, you're going to want to hear this anyway. You're part of contributing to this. I think you'll enjoy it. So it's worth you sticking around for the extra 10 minutes. And then we'll get to them because they are clearly the stars of the show. So we are going to take a look at, this is our annual Portrait of a Graduate presentation. It's a little bit of a lagging, the data's a little lagging because this is the class of 2025 that we're looking at. Okay, the data that we collect comes from College Board, it comes from Naviance, and it comes from Genesis. And basically, we're going to just take a look at the academic performance as per standardized tests and college matriculation. We'll also take a little bit look at some college trends, and if we could advance to the next slide. Here we go. So this is a little snapshot of the class of 2025. There were 420 graduates. 92% of the graduates went on to continue their education. 86% of the 92% went on to four-year colleges. And we went to many different colleges. You want to play a game? Let's see, let's start with a game. How many different colleges is the Montgomery High School class of 2025 currently sitting in? So I have a prize for either the closest or if you get it. Okay, how many different colleges did the class of 2025 go to? Andrew, you're a numbers guy. Let's see where you come up with. Let's start over here. Dr. Wang, you want to start? How many?
150.
150.
Half of that number?
75.
122.
122. Interesting. It's like the Price is Right. Okay, Cookie, what do you think?
55.
55.
$1. No. 68.
68. Okay, remember, so we have about 400 students on these colleges. So 122, 58. Go ahead. Andrew, you want to play. I know you want to play.
68.
68. Okay. Adele, you in?
Patrick and Andrew stole my number, so I'm going to say 71.
71. Okay.
67?
67. And that would be too good. It would have been 67. I would have had the whole thing. Let's keep going. Christina, what do you got? 72. We're all in that area.
125.
She gets the point. Exactly 125. Exactly. That's crazy. Exactly 125 different colleges and universities our class of 2025 matriculated to. So it's really impressive. This class is a little bit more spread out than typical. I have to move this. This is really interesting.
Gorgeous.
Am I going to mess you up? Okay.
Just real quick.
Yep.
You said that's atypical, like around how many?
That's a bigger spread than typical, yeah. We've been like under 100, so 125, and we're always studying the trends. We're always interested in like the where and the why. So that was something that was of interest, and we'll keep an eye on that. Okay, so let's keep it moving. This is an interesting slide. I'm going to let that sit there for a minute. I'm not going to read to you each of those rows and columns, but take a look. That gives you just an overall snapshot of what we're going to unpack over the next 7 or 8 minutes. I will bring your attention to where I have highlighted there. So, the top half of the table is really about our academic achievement. The bottom half gets a little bit more into the college game. But take a look at the number of college applications submitted by the class of 2025. Over 5,000 applications submitted. We've had an application explosion going on, not just at Montgomery High School, but across the country.
Just a quick question. So students that use the Common App, are the colleges, are those considered separate applications within the Common App?
Yes. Yes.
One more question.
Yep.
Pre-2020, what did those numbers look like? Were they still sitting around 10 to 12?
You mean per
Per
student?
and
Our
5,000?
students, that's a good, I don't know, but it has gradually increased. I could go back and take a look before. But we can explain the why, and I'll get to that in a little bit, right? We can talk about the why. So I'm going to keep it moving. Again, we'll come, all these things we'll unpack starting here. So many of our students look to challenge themselves in AP courses. We offer 22 AP courses at Montgomery High School. Here's a list of the 22 courses that we offer. Most of the students who enroll in the AP courses will sit for the AP exam in the spring. We actually gave almost 1,600 exams last year to over 600 students. 231 seniors took AP exams last year. But that's a tremendous amount of exams administered, and we only administer exams to Montgomery High School students who are enrolled in the course at Montgomery High School. You can imagine if we opened the doors beyond that, we'd be a full-time testing center. So we're really proud, not just that they're challenging themselves, but we're proud at how well they're doing. So here's a look at, if you see the green bar is Montgomery High School, yellow is the state, and then the AP tests are global. These are international exams. So you can see how Montgomery High School does compared to the state and beyond. Most colleges are looking for students to score a 5 or a 4 in order to give them college credit. Some will accept 3s. That's why you see the top of the bar graph here as a 5. That's a perfect score. Our most popular exams given are Calc AB, Calc BC, Micro, and Macro. Biology, too, is a very popular exam. So really proud of how well we're doing. Keeping it with testing, let's go to the more popular of the college readiness tests. Many of our students will take the SAT. I'm looking at my numbers here. I think we had 361 seniors take the SAT, so out of 420. Again, that's an interesting number that has changed a little bit, probably because of the test optional schools that are out there. So many of them are remaining test optional. But for those of you not familiar, perfect score is 1,600. Here's how Montgomery High School seniors, class of 2025, did compared to the state and the world. You can see it's impressive. We are about 300 points better than New Jersey. New Jersey students do extremely well. So they rank among the top in our country, and we rank among the top in our state. So that's awesome. Here's a 5-year look back, just to show you a little trend. So we've stayed consistently high. We have a slight increase from last year. It's always wonderful. Moving over to the less popular ACT, we had about 50 students take the ACT compared to 360 taking the SAT. But both tests are readily accepted by all colleges and universities. There's a few different reasons why students might choose one over the other. Many of our students will sample both in the practice versions and then land on the one that they are more comfortable taking. Here's how we did. Again, impressive. I was not able to make this bar graph go up to 36, which is, so this is deceiving. It looks like we're topping out there. It actually should go as high as 36. But I just couldn't make it look nice. So again, you'll see the green bars, Montgomery High School. Really proud of how well the kids did on standardized tests. Here's a 5-year look back. Okay, let's get back into the college game a little bit. So college applications, it has exploded. We still recommend that our students apply to 7 to 10 as a sweet spot. They pretty much ignore us, and that's okay. Like, we don't blame anybody. You want to do more applications, that's fine. It has been, the truth is, the acceptance just has become unpredictable, so to apply to more is absolutely fine. But we give a recipe of around 7 to 10 is what we recommend. You can see most of our students will do 11 to 15. And so what's the why for that? I mentioned test optional. So colleges were gradually moving towards being test optional prior to 2021. In 2021, we were forced to be test optional because students could not physically sit for the exam because of the pandemic. Coming out of the pandemic, schools really liked that holistic mindset of let's not put constraints on potential students by requiring test scores as entrance criteria. So we have seen more and more schools, especially the selective schools, go back to test required, but there's still a tremendous amount of schools out there that we believe are going to stay test optional. They now have, they've been watching now for 4 years. They see the students who they've accepted without test scores, and they know they have other predictors of success for schools. So we're happy that many of them are staying test optional, but that's one of the reasons why students are feeling more comfortable applying to more schools, right? They have confidence because they're not limited by an SAT that they might get in. And then, as Patrick said, the Common App, almost all the colleges now have adopted Common App. So for those two reasons, we've seen an application explosion, and that there's an inverse effect, right? So you see an application increase, you see an acceptance decrease, right? So it has become more competitive for those reasons. So where are those applications going? Here's the top 15 schools that Montgomery High School class of 2025 applied to. We are seeing more New Jersey schools. Last year I showed you a top 20 list. This year's top 20 list didn't look so good. The 16 through 20 was like 2 kids. So it just was, I limited it to 15 here. Penn State is highlighted for a couple of reasons. One, we are seeing kids apply to Penn State more than we ever have. So there's something there. They're not necessarily attending. They're getting accepted. If you follow across Penn State, right, 167 applied, 97 accepted. That's a 58% acceptance rate. That's amazing. Penn State has something like a 50% acceptance rate. So for us to be, as an out-of-state school at 58% accepted is really awesome. So they love the Montgomery High School kid. We love applying. We just don't necessarily go. Only 9 of us went. So, and colleges care about yield, right? We care about where they're applying and where they're going. Schools care about yield. They look at that. They don't want to give out acceptances and not have you enroll. So they watch those things. But just an interesting trend. You'll see NJIT made the list this year, and the College of New Jersey keeps climbing. So we think geography matters more than ever for students, return on investment, cost of tuition, those things are mattering more than they did maybe 5 or 10 years ago. And of course, Rutgers is Rutgers. So you see we had almost 300 kids apply to Rutgers, and our acceptance rate is pretty good there. Just a couple of years ago, we were having 70-something% of our kids accepted to Rutgers. Again, they went Common App and test optional. So the acceptance rate dropped a little bit, but we're par with the Rutgers acceptance rate at 54%. So that's where we're applying. Here's where we're going. This is the top 15 schools out of the 125 that we're actually attending. Those that are highlighted did not make this list. Same with Penn State. Penn State is highlighted because it's one of the top, it's the number 2 school we're applying to, but it doesn't even make the top 15 for schools we're actually attending. So, from a percentage standpoint. So, I'm sorry, it does make the top 15. I think, yes, I had that wrong. Scratch, it does make the top 15. It was highlighted for a different reason. But Raritan Valley, Indiana, Rowan, not in the top 15 applied to, but in the top 15 that we're going to. A little bit about Rutgers, because Rutgers is kind of our home away from home. It's been really interesting to watch what happens there. We are seeing students who we thought would have been home run candidates a couple of years ago get waitlisted. And again, that becomes part of the yield, right? Like they're being a little bit more strategic in who they're accepting sometimes. They had over 70,000 applicants, just New Brunswick. And their freshman class will be about 10,000. They might say yes to 25,000, hoping that they enroll 10,000. So that is that's a boom. Rutgers across their 3 campuses across the state, almost 250,000 applicants. Incredible. Remains test optional. Average SAT score at Rutgers now is approaching 1,500. It's interesting what's going on. Here's some other trends that we're seeing. I'm going to bring your attention, start from the bottom. Increases in cost of attendance. We are seeing private schools now upwards of $90,000. We're seeing an increase in interest for top state schools outside of New Jersey, specifically in the South and Southwest. They are still cost efficient, and I think they get a lot of airplay. So there's a decent price tag for a shiny brand when you go Southwest. Again, we talk about the application competition and the test option. We are hoping to see more and more schools decide firmly that they are going to stay test optional. All the IVs have gone back except Columbia. Columbia remains test optional. And I don't list it here, but we had 6 students out of the class of 2025 attending Ivy League schools. Some couple interesting things happening at Montgomery High School related. So we are continuing to scale up our concurrent enrollment program. So we had a very soft start 2 years ago. We partnered with Seton Hall. We found them to be of the most credible transcripts out there. So we wanted to make sure that our kids had a good chance of their concurrent enrollment credit being accepted at whatever college they land on. And so Seton Hall seemed to be a really good bang for the buck for a lot of reasons. We're excited to be partnering with them. We're currently running 6 courses. In year 1, we had less than 10, I think we had exactly 10 students that decided to enroll for concurrent enrollment credit. 50 students this year, and so now we're going full steam ahead. We wanted to really feel like, what does this mean for a teacher? Is there an extra, what does this mean for the school? Are the costs, is there hidden costs? Like, what's happening? This is at no cost to the district. Students pay about $110 a credit. Most of their courses are 3-credit courses as far as Seton Hall is concerned. And concurrent enrollment means they're sitting in their Montgomery High School class getting college credit. They don't have to sit on the college campus to earn the dual credit. So we talk about dual enrollment and concurrent enrollment. Dual enrollment usually refers to I'm at Raritan Valley taking the class, or I'm on the Rutgers campus taking the class, earning high school credit at the same time. We are going with concurrent enrollment, which means they sit in their English 11 and have an opportunity to earn college credit. They have to get a B or an A, and it's only juniors and seniors are eligible, and it's advanced level courses only.
So at the end of this, after they're, so let's say you're a junior and you're taking English 11 honors, and then you go into 12 honors, and let's say you also took Calc honors. At the end of this, you graduate and you write to Seton Hall and ask for your transcript, and you will have a 9-credit transcript from Seton Hall that might be transferable.
Likely will be.
Right, because of the fact that it is such a
Over 250 universities
Universities.
accepted. Yep.
So that is amazing, and I think
Yep.
it's great that it's taking off.
Yeah,
like
and it's
this.
a fraction of the cost, right? So to make this program worthwhile, we want to have a robust enough list of offerings so that you can earn 12 credits before you go. You can get some of those electives out of the way. You can concentrate on your major faster. There's many benefits to it. So we'll see. The list continues to grow. There's requirements, there's curricular requirements, and the instructors have to meet certain requirements in order for us to be able to promote the class for concurrent enrollment. So I'm very grateful for the teachers who were the early adopters and were our pilot teachers, and they're spreading the good word. Sure.
So is that more like a virtual learning, or the lectures come here on site?
No, it's the Montgomery High School teacher
Oh,
who Seton Hall certifies as a concurrent enrollment instructor. We teach our English 11 honors curriculum to the students. Any student in that course has the opportunity to enroll for concurrent enrollment directly with Seton Hall. So they would pay about $330, and then they could earn the college credit along the way. Our teacher teaches our curriculum. They have deemed our curriculum worthy of college credit. And our instructor worthy of whatever credentials they're looking for. The career exploration piece is important too, because not all of our students are going off to four-year colleges, and even those that are going off to colleges need to go with career goals, like they just do. So the career goal can change, but they're more likely to have success in college with a career goal, and we know many of our students are going right into career and finding success. So this year we started a sophomore seminar where we talk a lot about they do different personality surveys, and we try to get them thinking about what they're interested in. We talk to them about different paths that can be taken. We talk to them about the careers that are trending, and then we offer these lunch and learn series, which you've heard about a couple times here too. So we've had, I think, about 20 different guest professionals come in this year. During unit lunch, kids can sign up if it's a profession that they're interested in learning more about. And we have some pizza, and they get to hear from a real live person in the field about the path they took to get there, a day in the life, all those things. This week we are dedicated to the trades. So we have 2 different trades coming in to talk to the students who are interested in that. Okay, now let's get to our friends, our National Merit Scholars, because they are so impressive. For those of you not familiar with the National Merit Scholarship Program, it is an annual, it is highly prestigious, and it is very competitive. So it starts with 1.3 million students from over 22,000 schools, and the contest kicks off with that PSAT in their junior year. That's the initial screening. 50,000 of the 1.3 million are receive commendation. So just to receive commendation means you are one of the top scorers of the 1.3 million. So that you made it to the 50,000 mark. Of those that are commended, 16,000 become semifinalists. So now you're starting to talk about like 2%, 3% are your semifinalists. And it's amazing if a school can have a few students be commended and reach the semifinalist level. However, we were fortunate. We're talking about the class of 2026. You know, I should have shifted the channel in your head. We did not invite last year's Merit Scholars to come back. They're already in one of those 125 colleges right now studying, I'm sure. This is now the class of 2026 that we're talking about. So in our class of 2026, we're fortunate, we're blessed. We have 8 finalists. So these are of the top 1%. They got down to the top 7,000. And it isn't just about scores. There's a lot of other things that they need to do in order to be eligible, in order to apply. And I'm going to spare you all the details, but it's a pretty rigorous process. And we actually have 8, and some of them are here with us. This is just a quick list to show you. We had 11 semifinalists, 71 commended, which is fantastic. And here's our 8 finalists. So maybe what I'll do is, yeah, let's clap that for I'm not sure, because I did not take attendance, but first let me say, parents who are sitting here, good for you. Like, congratulations. You don't get to do that. We're very proud of what we do academically in this district. We're very proud of our programs, all the things I shared with you, but they don't get to be Merit Scholar finalists without awesome families supporting them. So like, we know that the parents play a big role in that. We always appreciate partnering with you. Congratulations. So these are our, do we want to take a picture maybe? I'll call them up one at a time, but we can do like a group picture. So if you're here, come on up. Priyanshu, Isha, August, Daniel, Angela, Anirudh, Shruti, and Vibhu. Come on. Let's give them a nice round of applause. Come over here, stand with me. So you're going to receive a certificate here. I'm going to ask you to hand these out. And I'm wondering if maybe we want to stage a picture. Do we want the whole board behind them? Or like, how would you want to do that? What do you think, Jeff? We want the whole board in it? Yeah, let's do the whole board. How about it? Why don't the whole board stand in this little area here, and we'll have their names behind us? Yeah? Are you okay with that, taking a picture with us? This is like, you're going to be super famous running the world one day, and we want to be able to like have evidence that we knew you. So come on, let's come over here.
Congratulations.
So you guys are going to stand in the middle, and we're going to surround you. Facing this way.
Congratulations, young people.
Oh, she had 2. Sorry. Come on, you made it this far, and you can't get the Okay.
If we can't see, if you
Yeah,
can't
who can
see
we
us,
see?
we can't see you. So people in the back, make sure we can see you. Corey, you gonna get in there?
No, I'm good.
Okay. All right. Look at me. 1, 2, 3. Great. Now everybody else. Hey there.
Thank you, Merit Scholars. We are grateful and proud of you. And we're looking forward to hearing what you do next. Am I staying or are we doing, where are we at next?
Corey, I have one small.
Okay, yeah, let's do questions, sure. Sorry.
Court, we're gonna pivot real quick.
After questions, go for it.
Montgomery has such a robust athletic department, so I was just wondering, how are the colleges with sports scholarships nowadays? Do they give any?
Yeah, so sports scholarships are hard to come by. They are hard to come by. Our students do much better in the merit world for scholarship, but I couldn't tell you, I don't have any numbers on that, like how many of our kids go on scholarship to play sports, but I can tell you the numbers are humongous for how many are receiving merit money at the next level, which is great news.
Do you guys keep the record of the scholarship?
I wonder if Coach Grundy does keep that. That's not something we keep, but that would be really, that is interesting to know. Yeah, that wouldn't be hard to
Chris
do.
Grundy does a whole ceremony for the kids. when
So
they're
that we would know.
accepted, when they're going to play in the school.
We have a
there's whole-
signing ceremony.
The signing days, yeah, there you go. Yep, that works.
Thank you.
I have two questions for you.
Okay,
So first one is for, you mentioned a scholarship. I thought about the honor program. So out of our students, how many of them received like honor program scholarship, something like that?
I don't have that. I don't know. That's, so how many of our graduates went on to honors college or scholarships? That information I don't have. We could collect that. So we collect a lot of our data comes directly from the students in Navi. So sometimes our data is as good as they give it to us. And we have some strategies every year to get it better. You guys make sure you fill out your surveys for us so we know where they're going. I wonder if I couldn't add that to the Navion survey. That'd be interesting. I don't think they know. Some of them might know that they're going to honors college. I'll take a look, Tiffany. I'll let you know.
Wouldn't that depend on the college offering, like an honors college program?
Honors program, I can only speak for Rocket.
Well, yeah, because I was just thinking not every school would offer an honors program.
Also, that's what I mean, it's similar,
Yeah.
institution or scholarship like that.
There's some, like certain program, like specific ones too.
Under some
Like
name.
a business school or
Yes,
something like
yes.
that, yeah.
So we do know what they intend on studying.
Yeah.
I didn't add that to this, but that could be interesting.
And not to let kids apply too for the scholarships. I encourage my kid to like apply to all of it because you don't know how many are actually applying and the percentage of you getting a scholarship. So
Yeah, it's there, especially we tell the students the sticker price is usually not the price. There's always packages out there, so if you seek it, it's there. Right in Montgomery High School, we're giving out $80,000 this spring to seniors who we had, I think 120 students apply for our local scholarships, which is, so we have a lot of work to do to sort through that, but we'll award close to $80,000 this spring. And we made our application real easy. So like if they put a little bit of effort in, it's a laptop if they walk out with 2,500 something.
I have a second question. It's about the early decision. So what are the common practices school use to protect students from applying to colleges that have informally blacklisted the school, situations where students may still pay application fee but have little realistic chance of admission, in cases where students withdraw from the early decision commitment and the college temporarily lost trust in those high schools. So how do schools typically manage that impact, and what solutions or safeguards can help rebuild that relationship and prevent the future issues?
Yeah, it is a worry because how competitive everything is now. So the best we can do is encourage kids to be ethical. If you're applying early decision and you're accepted, go. We tell them it's like a binding contract, So it's the best we can do. We have not experienced, at least in my time, any communication from any college saying this happened and two of your students were accepted early decision and decided not to enroll. So now we're going to blacklist the rest of your students. Like that's a nightmare we have, but it has not happened. I don't know that we have safeguards in place other than our college advising includes like be true to it, be true to it. So if it is a school you're really truly interested in going to, then maybe ED is an option for you. But if it's not, then please don't do that. You could definitely harm the rest of your classmates and behind. I have not heard of any cases out there where this blacklist has really come up to play. Not that I know what's going on everywhere, but as kids are applying more and more places, and the early decision, they do have a better chance of getting accepted. They just do. They just do. So it's hard to know. Okay. Oh, sorry.
I don't have a question, just a comment. Like, I'm very happy that our community college enrollment and application has gone up. Last
Yeah, every year.
It's getting to be in the top 15, and that's great for, kids who are unsure of where they want to go, and community college is the perfect pathway
Yeah.
to jumpstart, that, what is it that I want to do.
Agreed. Yeah, we've tried to partner with Raritan Valley for more things, just so they can be a name in the atmosphere of Montgomery High School. Like, that's a real viable option. And I happen to know 3 kids that are going next year. It's not because they don't have other opportunities. They have plenty of opportunities. They just don't know what they want to do yet. So they're going to go spend a fraction of the money, stay in the routine of school, and probably end up at some amazing university only paying for 2 years worth of college and getting a
I know
4-year
one
degree.
kid graduated as a sophomore now at Raritan Valley, he's going to Rutgers.
Yeah.
But like exactly like the
I
same
had
money.
2 nephews did the same thing. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Corey, we're gonna pivot from you for a quick second and do our student representative report. All right.
So before I begin, I would like to reflect on Women's History Month, which is all of March, celebrating the contributions of women and reflecting on this year's theme, Leading the Change, Women Shaping a Sustainable Future. On March 2nd to March 7th was a senior trip to Disney. Hopefully, I'm waiting my senior year to go to Florida. But anyways, March 6th was also the MSEPTA 80s Dance Fundraiser, where the community came together for a themed fundraiser supporting special education programs. March 8th was Daylight Saving Time, where clocks moved forward 1 hour as the spring season began, with the winter/spring pep rally on March 10th. In a school day pep rally celebrating winter achievements and welcoming the spring season with spring sports. The MHS-PTSA meeting was on March 11th, with St. Patrick's Day on March 17th, celebrating St. Patrick, the patron saint of Ireland who brought Christianity to the country in the 5th century. The NJGPA testing with 11th grade students followed a modified schedule from March 18th to the 23rd, with the Mean Girls in School preview on March 19th, building excitement for upcoming performances that took place later on the 20th to the 21st at the MPAC, showcasing talent and theater. World Down Syndrome Day was on March 21st, where students and staff were encouraged to participate in Rock Your Socks, raising awareness and showing support. The following events are now for the rest of the month, with Rising 9th Grade Parent Night on the 25th, welcoming a transition to high school. Any siblings with any freshmen, be on the lookout. But anyways, the International Night in Sealer Biliteracy is going to take place on the 26th, celebrating diversity and recognition of students achieving biliteracy. Spring break will be on March 31st to April 4th. Fortunately, we do have school on March 30th, but hopefully everyone can catch up on some sleep. And all of March will be the spring athletic season with spring sports beginning. And events such as the pep rally, the senior trip, and upcoming musical have contributed to strong student participation and school spirit lately. With the NJGPA testing, with that whole schedule adjustment change, students have noted that importance of clear communication around testing logistics and expectations have been quite helpful. And students have been appreciating International Night for celebrating all their hard work in classes like AP Spanish, AP French, all those classes that are really hard. I don't want to take them, but yeah, that's March. Thank you.
Thank you, Ara.
when Corey talked about test optional. I just want to make comments there. So, so some research really shows for students come from the less advantaged group, such as first generation, or their household income is below the national 50th percentile, they really strongly recommend those students take the test and submit the test scores because it does boost their admission opportunity probability. So I just want to share that message out based on not just my research work, but also you know, a lot of Ivy League's work, why some of them switch back to test required policy, because it does benefit the student from less advantaged group. I didn't say that.
Selfish plug.
So that is fun, but the next report is required. It is the Student Safety Data System Report for the period 1, which is September through December 31st for the 25-26 school year. As part of the New Jersey Department of Education requirement to submit this Student Safety Data System Report information, which we call SSDS. I will be reporting out tonight on report period 1 for the 25-26 school year. At Montgomery High School, there were 13 total incidents reported within the categories of physical altercations, theft, and substances. At Upper Middle School, there were 22 total incidents reported, with most incidents falling under the category of both HIB alleged and physical altercation. At Lower Middle School, there were 21 total incidents reported, with the majority reported under the category of HIB alleged. At Village Elementary School, there were 20 total incidents reported, most reported under the category of HIB alleged. And at Orchard Hill Elementary School, there were no incidents reported for period 1. Now, this SSDS report kind of goes aligned with Mr. Delgado's next presentation.
This one's not going to be very
on
close.
HIV.
Yep, we're going to keep this one pretty black and white. So I am going to spare this group because I feel like it was just last month that you had a full board training on HIB. So we're gonna skip through all the statutory definition and get to the things that we need to report out on, which basically is numbers. Before we get to that, these folks are like my heroes. So our counselors have the, some might say, unfortunate task of also serving as our anti-bullying specialists, and they are amazing. They are able to approach these really complicated situations with empathy and intelligence, and they put a lot of time into getting it right. So that's their names. Again, I am always super grateful for the counselors in this district for a lot of reasons, but the fact that they play, that they serve as the anti-bullying specialists in their respective schools is a big job. So thank you to them. Period 1 was September to December. You can see here we had 49 total incidents investigated with 6 founded. That's the breakdown in the different schools. Not a big surprise, but we had some feisty kids down at Village in the beginning of the year. I think Miss Lacey and Miss Glover have done a great job of kind of tempering that in the second half of the year, but it was busy down there for sure. Here are the trainings from period 1. Trainings are staff facing. Programs are student facing. So trainings, this is typical for us, somewhere between 4 and 8 trainings per school. Most of those trainings will always happen in the first half of the year. So you won't see these numbers for the second half. One of the trainings that I think was especially important for us this year was that group of anti-bullying specialists with Stacy Cherry and Vic LaPera. And they did a great job helping us to refine our practice and interpret things with a different lens that we weren't using before. And I think we'll see a difference in the number of investigations in the second half of the year. We probably will not see a big difference in the number of founded cases, but the number of unfounded investigations we are hoping will decrease. It does not mean we are not addressing conflict. We are absolutely addressing it, but we're getting it in the code of conduct where it belongs, where we were maybe inappropriately investigating some things as HIV along the way. So I would imagine our founded numbers will stay about the same if we're doing things right, but our number of investigations will probably decrease. Here's some examples of the trainings that happened across the district. Again, these are for staff and administration. Our staff is amazing. They want to get this right. They ask really good questions. They err on the side of caution because we all want to protect our most vulnerable kids. I mean, that's just what we want to do. So I haven't met a teacher who's swept one thing under the rug or looked the other way. If it's going to take me an extra 10 minutes because I got to write a report, I'll do it. Let's just make sure the kids are okay. So, big shout out to the staff that usually are the first ones to know. Programs, again, these are for students, so you see we're very busy with our anti-bullying programs in the schools. Here's an example of some of them. Peer leader outreaches are one worth mentioning, so we have a really vibrant peer leader program at the high school. And what we have learned is that students will, believe it or not, tune out adults every now and then, especially when we're talking about their social life. And but when you put a high school student in front of them, they're listening. So our high school peer leaders have done a great job with outreaches in all of our buildings this year. Just ending with making sure everyone on this board knows that we train anyone who works in our schools. We make sure they know how to report and where to report a potential incident of harassment, intimidation, and bullying. I should say when and how. And we have all of this information on our website. We will refer parents there if they want some more information. I'm happy to talk with anybody who has questions beyond that. And thank you for listening. Any questions? Yeah, Pat.
I guess, two quick statements. First of all, thank you and your staff for keeping us out of the news. I don't think you can log on to any media site and you don't see something about an HIV or HIV lawsuit. So again, thank you and Mary and all the administrators and your staff for keeping us out of the news. And secondly, I'm glad you kind of touched on that while something may not be an HIV, it can still be a code of conduct with consequences. So I'm glad you did touch on that.
Absolutely. Always is. Okay, thank you.
The next presentation, Mr. Taliano will join me, is our 26-27 proposed tentative budget presentation. Tonight we are presenting the tentative proposed budget for the 26-27 school year. Thank you to the Board of Education. So we have 3 district goals that are aligned with our strategic plan. Our first goal is the student experience, student achievement, teaching and learning. As we reported out last month, we have been working very hard at achieving the goals for this year through our strategic plan update last month. Our second goal is on communication, community engagement, and outreach. And our third goal is on climate and culture, social emotional learning, cultural sensitivity, health and wellness, and resilience. So now I'll have Mr. Italiano go through the budget development process.
I was going to say, I'm going to height adjust this for myself. There we go. Okay, good evening, everyone. Okay, I'm going to pick up with our budget development process. It's actually, believe it or not, this takes place right after the school starts. The school year begins in September. Right in October, I send a memo out to our budget managers to say, start thinking about the next school year. So the next 2 slides are just really a timeline of everything that's involved to get to this point in time tonight. So after we send that memo out in December, we get the request back from building principals, directors, supervisors, anybody that's responsible for a budget. We evaluate those, And in January and February, we put together our budget based on all the requests. And then we call the budget managers back and we have a further discussion based on the request to think, okay, how much of this do we really need? How much of it is new initiatives? How much of it maybe we could kind of table for another year? We have a little bit more of a serious conversation about the requests, because after they come in versus the revenues you have, they never line up, and hard decisions have to begin to be discussed and thought about. Fast forward, March 10th, we had our finance committee meeting where our finance facilities committee, they had the first preview of the budget. A little later in a normal school year, March 12th, we received our state aid amounts. That's because we had a new governor. The new governors usually get an extension to release their budget. State aid is part of the budget. That's typically the beginning of the month, but this year it was March 12th. That's why our meeting tonight was pushed back a week to give us time to evaluate the numbers and the final decisions based on them. Fortunately, we received a 3% cut, which was $248,000 at the 11th hour. So that was, we're grateful for what we had, but that was $250,000 worth of more hard decisions that we had to figure out without hurting our students. But I think we did it. That brings us to tonight. It's March 24th. This is our tentative budget adoption. By statute, we need to do this because by Friday the 27th, we have to submit a budget to the executive county superintendent. They review our budget to be sure, they look for trends, consistencies, be sure all the basics are covered for our students. They're basically representative of the Department of Education. They do their due diligence to be sure that we have a responsible budget that we put forward. Between that time, March 27th and April 28th, that's when our public hearing is for our budget, where it'll get final adopted. Changes can be made to the budget during this period. If something comes up, lines are changed, it can happen. It's not typical. It did last year, but it's not typical. This is just another timeline of how this kind of went through from March to April. Right here. This here is our total spending per pupil. You probably hear a term all the time called total cost per pupil. Total cost per pupil is everything that includes instruction, support services, administration, general operating expenses. Total spending per pupil is everything I just mentioned, plus transportation costs, out-of-district placement costs, pension liabilities, and debts. So it's a broader measure of cost per pupil. As you can see by the slide, if you want to kind of compare us to some of the local neighbors like in the area, if you want to compare us to Bernards or Princeton, there are other high-performing schools similar to us. I think we're better, but we could say that they're high-performing too. We're a little more efficient than they are. We'll go to the next slide. This is the cost per pupil. This is the smaller measure that most districts use to kind of compare their per pupil spending because, if you think about it, out-of-district costs, they vary greatly from school to school. Transportation costs, they vary greatly from school to school. Capital projects and things of that nature, they vary from school to school. So this really is just your apples to apples of like your instruction, your administration, and your regular operating expenses. And still, if you look at both measures, if you want to look at the number on the right, we stack up against like the top competitors in the area. So that's something to be proud of. It's just another look at it, like in a bar graph, and we're third from the right. So to have a top performing district, it is going to be a little more expensive than average. If you look at, say, the district all the way to the left, they might not support the budget as much as some of the districts to the middle and to the right. At the end of the day, you get what you pay for. This is a top performing district. You heard the presentation that Mr. Delgado just gave. To get results like that, to have high performing teachers, all the extracurriculars that are a little better than average, there's a little bit of better average cost. But we're still performing better than some of the others all the way to the right. All right, let's get into some of the numbers. So the number that you see on the top, the $91,602,000, that's the current tax levy starting point. So that's this year's tax levy. The 2% increase on the base, that's worth $1.8 million. We had budget meetings with the board members in small breakout groups to kind of present what our challenges are. Our big challenge is healthcare this year, and how to have a huge healthcare liability and still retain our key staff members and all our programs and our excellence. So if you notice, the budget is built off asking for a healthcare waiver plus the expiring bank cap to come to that total bottom line number. Let me just speak to what the healthcare waiver is, just a little bit, because I take for granted that I know these things for the board and our audience here. The state of New Jersey assumes that whatever was in the budget for the current year, a 2% increase, just like a 2% tax base is permitted, is assumed to be budgeted for. Anything above 2% of the current year's healthcare costs, you can ask the taxpayers for an adjustment to cover an exorbitant healthcare cost for the simple reason you give your Board of Education the option. Do you want to pay additional funds to cover this contractual obligation to the staff members, or the other choice is you still have to pay for the cost, but if you don't utilize something like a healthcare waiver, then the money would have to come from programs, instruction, and staffing costs, so you still have to pay the bill. So if you consider the healthcare waiver, you pay the obligation and you try to have minimal to no impact to your students and programs. If you don't, you still have to pay the bill, but you're going to have to really, it's a large number, $4 million. There's only so many supplies that you can cut from the budget, and we'll show that in a slide later. You have to think about staffing decisions if you don't go for the extra money. So that's a little bit of an explanation of what these numbers mean and what goes into them. This is just another way to look at the revenue sources. It's your general fund revenue, which is your tax levy and other anticipated revenue sources, such as like your miscellaneous revenue, interest, things of that nature. Special revenue are your state and federal grants. Debt service is your loan. Your loans typically go down. Fortunately, the taxpayers are getting a break. The loan's going down $1 million, which is good. So you can see the total recommended budget is actually going up 5%. If you look around this county right here, Somerset County is probably one of the top 2 performing counties in New Jersey. New Jersey is probably one of the top 2 performing states, like in the nation. Most of the districts you'll see, I don't want to speak for all of them, they're going up in this neighborhood because they got delivered the same healthcare increase that we did, but they also value their programs and their performance as much as we do. So this isn't something that is unique to us. This is a county, state, and nationwide challenge that we're faced with. Another way to look at the numbers, based on the healthcare waiver and the expiring bank cap and the 2% tax increase, that would be a total tax increase of 6.37%. As you can see, the loan went down, so that's at minus 17%, which is good. I mentioned earlier, the state aid unfortunately went down 3%. And the other accounts are reserve accounts, which don't affect the tax levy. These are just other options that we had available to fund capital projects, maintenance improvements, and regenerating fund balance that was saved from prior year budgets to support this budget. One comment that I'm going to make is a responsible budget does 3 things. It funds the next year's standards for your students, whatever standards your district has. It has small money reserved for contingencies, because things happen, out of district placement, something breaks, need another staff member, need a specialized staff member, etc. Also, the history of the audits here at Montgomery, since I've come aboard and done research with the auditor, you've got used to using what's called fund balance, which is money saved from prior year budgets that gets rolled to future year's budgets. It's about $4 to $5 million a year on average. It's not advisable, but it's a pattern here. And once you have it, unless you can cut that many expenses from your budget, you have to build your budgets to plan to hopefully regenerate those monies for the future. So you either have to regenerate the money or cut all those expenses to not regenerate the money for the future. And to be able to cut that many millions of dollars worth of expenses, that would be hard. So everybody looks at their expenses every year, but that's what I walked into, and that's what I have to deal with to kind of keep the standards here. If you look at this slide right here, they must have thought I had a lot better eyesight than I really do. But your taxes pay for 82% of your budget. That's like the large green slice of the pie that I can't eat anymore because I have a sugar problem, but you're going to see the taxes are the big part of your budget. And as you can see, after that, your state and federal aid, it's about 6%. That's your next biggest contributor. So you folks pay for most of the budget. Where in like a metropolitan or urban school, it would be split. It would be about half the tax levy, half state aid. It's fortunate you don't have some of the challenges that other districts do, but that means you don't get the additional funding. It's just how it works. These here are what are the core expenses that every district in the state of New Jersey is going to have. Your regular program instruction, that's your K-12 instruction for general ed, your basic skills, your support services are things like attendance, health, your nurse, your media center, curriculum development, things of that nature. Your co-curricular, your special services, your administration, transportation. These costs are in every budget that's being presented this week across the state. You can see some numbers go up, some go down. Bottom line number on the right, 5% increase year over year. Now, this one here, unfortunately, numbers don't lie. If you look at the regular program instruction on the yellow slice on the top right, it's about 26%. So all of your K-12 program, that's all of your teacher salaries, all of their supplies, is about a quarter of the budget, let's just say for our conversation here. If you look at the number on the top left, the same amount of money, 25-26%, is your employee health care. So a quarter of your bill is to pay contractual health care obligations. I've been in conversation with their healthcare broker to improve upon this. Believe it or not, there's many steps to work with to consider changing this for next year. So there's a plan in place to work on improving this rate for next year. There's many things that are out of our control. Shopping for your healthcare is kind of like shopping for your health insurance, like your car insurance. If you're getting a lot of accidents, no matter who you call up on the phone, the renewal is going to be higher. Your healthcare is based on your experience. So, as your staff ages, as they take advantage of like benefits and more technology that's out there, like prescriptions that are out there, you're utilizing the plan more, the plan's going to go up. Your experience rating goes on a color chart from green to red. Over time, you usually move from the green to the red. Everybody that's in the state healthcare plan, they're in the red. So they're like the hardest bunch to shop. They're the folks that if they go out on the private marketplace, they're not going to get a better deal. That's in the state plan. We're lucky we're in a invite-only private plan, and we are shopped out against the other private plans. Fortunately, our renewal came back higher for the other private plans, so we have the best deal that we could have for the next school year, but there are ways to improve on that in the future that they're not ready to discuss right now, but the plans are in place, so we're taking actions to, it's the hand we're dealt, but we're going to try to make the best of it for the future. But these are the numbers for right now. Okay, let's talk about enrollment. So, there's a demographic study done in June of 2024. It was very optimistic with some new housing developments and things of that nature that we would have an influx of students to the school. They haven't showed up. I'm not sure exactly where they are. I'll give you an idea. If you look at the current year's number, which is 4,394, that's based on our October 15th, 2025 count. For perspective, the demographic study, with including the new housing developments, said that that figure would be about 100 students higher. So again, I hope those students come at some point, but if you kind of look at the trend of the students, we're kind of in the bottom of the trough right now, waiting for the uptrend. So I don't like to use the word realistic too much, but if I use it, it's just dealing with fact. You have to anticipate for next year, probably about a 2% decrease, which is 4,310 students. If you anticipate a large increase and a large increase in aid, but you don't get it, then you're going to build a budget off of false money that you're not going to receive and that's not responsible. That leads me to my next slide. This is the part of the business that I don't like, but we have to do things that we don't like sometimes. So if you look at position reductions, the $1.4 million of position reductions, that represents about 2% of the staff. That's in line with the 2% like projected like enrollment projection. It doesn't always work out like that, but Superintendent McLaughlin, myself, administrative team, building principals, we really looked at the sections, the class schedules, the enrollment, every way we could think of, and We made targeted cuts based on the enrollment for the most part that are in line with our enrollment trend. If our enrollment turns around and goes in the other direction, then we'll need position increases. Right now, we really have to deal things on a year-to-year basis, and that's where we are for the upcoming school year. Unfortunately, we had to, again, cut from the facilities and equipment line. There are many projects that are presented to me from our Director of Facilities, but based on budget constraints, you have to evaluate all areas of your budget. So we chose to elect facility projects that are essential for the school, to keep the school looking nice, but maybe some of the projects are the wish list projects. They had to get put on hold due to the fact that we have to put money towards the teachers, the programs, and the activities that enrich our students first. So that's a tough decision that had to be made. That unfortunately some of these projects might cost more in the future, but we're doing the core projects to take care of our investment. So that's an area where some of those projects are going to have to wait for the future. Services and supplies. We evaluated over 500 different supply lines from every one of the budget managers from December to the current amount of time. Looked at 5 years worth of data over those 500 lines to see, okay, how much money you're asking for, how much money does it look like you're spending over the 5 years? Is there anything new that you're asking for? We cut about 20% across the board for most of the programs except special services. So cutting all of the instructional supplies, I don't want to say only, but that's $400,000 on over $100 million. The supplies are a very small driver of the budget. You don't want to cut too much of that because then the teachers aren't going to have the resources they need to work with to have a successful school year. So that's why we analyzed the data and supported them with what we think they have that they've spent in the years past to be successful, but tried to be as efficient as possible. Professional development, $110,000 that we cut. In this day and age, there's a lot of online, local, regional professional development that we could take advantage of in the local New Jersey area through workshops in Atlantic City, Rutgers, partnerships, things online, and through different associations that all the administrators belong to that we could bring back and share out to the team versus getting on planes and flying to different places. We're not in the going to the airport and flying for professional development, and maybe some people thank me because if you saw like the airport stuff recently, maybe you don't want to go to the airport, but we cut from everywhere that we could think of. Everything was on the table that would have the least impact on kids. Going right here, dollars to know, the healthcare adjustment, that's $3.1 million. The 2% tax levy increase, that's $1.8 million. And the bank cap that's due to expire. These were funds that were able to be used in past years that weren't, that were eligible to be used, that's $875,000. Major driver of our budget, as well as all of our friends and neighbors' budget, are salaries and benefits. It's 82.2% of this budget. As you can see from my note on the bottom, 80 to 85% of every standard budget in the state of New Jersey is salary and benefits. We fall right in the middle of that number, so we're no different than anybody else. These here are 2 capital projects that we have next year. They're called ROD grants. Those are regular operating district grants. These are excellent opportunities. These are opportunities that the school board uses 60% of saved money in their capital reserve account to pay for, and the state of New Jersey pays 40 cents on the dollar for. These 2 numbers right here that are $3.7 million total, that's the total amount of the 2 grant awards. Our responsibility for them is 60%, which is $2.267 million, and the state of New Jersey will contribute 40%, which is $1.51 million. This concludes our presentation. I have one other item that I'd like to share with the board, the tax impact of what this budget is to the local residents. I'm going to do that from my laptop because that's not a slide. this is really what everybody comes out for tonight. So I know most places I work, this was the most important number. I'm pretty loud, I think they can hear me. So 2% tax increase, that's like the blue right here, okay? Average assessed home in Montgomery is $507,000. If we were to raise the school taxes from what they currently are, 2% next year, that would be $130.68 on the $507,000 assessment. If you move over to using the healthcare waiver and the expiring bank cap, the $130 would go to $620. So essentially that's $490 a year, okay, to get $4 million worth of funding. So that's literally what's on the table right here. $490 for $4 million worth of funding. So sure, that's going above the 2%, but that is what's on the line for that. For Rocky Hill, like last year, they went down because Rocky Hill, there's some debt that Montgomery still has on the books that they inherited before the Rocky Hill Montgomery merger, so that they are not responsible for. So at 2%, their taxes would go down $313, and asking for the funding that we're asking for, they would still go down $43.98. So essentially, what this is all about is $490 for $4 million worth of funding. So the administration, Ms. McLaughlin, myself, we're asking for this to support the budget, to support our students at the current staffing and instructional levels and the performance that we're able to provide. Without the $490, without the $4 million, Montgomery would look very different next year. Because on top of the $1.4 million worth of staff cuts that are already assumed receiving this money, there would be another $4 million worth of staff cuts that would happen. As you saw, 20% of the supplies was less than $500,000. So to cut $4 million, probably about 40 teachers. So guess what? Your classroom sizes would go up, your instruction would go down, and everything else would be on the table. From your music to your sports and everything else. So I think, Ms. McLaughlin thinks, that's worth $490. That concludes our presentation. Thank you.
Any questions from the board?
Can I ask a question about what's the amount of the employee health care contribution that flow back into the general fund?
The amount of the employee health care contribution, I'm going to go off the top of my head because that wasn't in my slides, it's $3.312 million. We get about right now, currently, we get about $163,000 per pay period over 20 pay periods when the entire staff is here. I hope that helps.
Okay, in your slides, can we go back to see the slides?
Give Adele a second. Go ahead with your question.
Yeah, so one of the slides you mentioned about the employee benefits, 4 million increase, I think. So we talked about the amount of the employee health care contribution has been counted towards that number or not?
Sure, I'll explain to you how it works. It's actually very simple. We get a letter from our healthcare broker. He tells us what the healthcare increase is going to be for the next year. For example, our medical benefits are going up 12%, our prescription benefits are going up 35%. To come up with the healthcare number, you take the current healthcare obligation, like essentially the bills from this year, multiply the medical bills by 12%. It's pretty easy stuff. Take the prescription bill, you increase it by 35%. You increase the dental bill by whatever that percentage was, the vision bill by whatever that percentage was. Then you back out the employee contributions, which is that $3.3 million figure I said. Then all the staff members that are losing their jobs, their health care came out of that, and then you come up with a figure. That's about $24 million. So you take last year's health care number, you multiply that by 2%, and you get a number. About $21 million off the top of my head. So if you take the difference between the $24 million, that's next year's obligation after employee contributions, and then the difference from last year's healthcare plus 2%, the difference of those two numbers is what you're allowed to ask for a healthcare adjustment. That's the best explanation that I could give. That's the same explanation that I gave all the board members at the private board meetings, the budget meetings.
So that explains to the slides, I think 24, this one shows total.
So again, my slides were telling a certain story. Your questions might be asking a different question than the story my slides were telling. You asked a question, were there contributions? I answered it with the number off the top of my head. I told you what goes into the healthcare bill, the broker increases, and how it's calculated, and I gave you an educated explanation on how the healthcare adjustment works. That's a complete answer to your question.
Yeah, I just want to confirm that.
What would you like to confirm? You can confirm it with me. Again, like I said, the slides that I presented and the questions you're answering might not line up. Hold on now. I'm gonna take this over now. So what slide are you referring to, Dr.?
You have the allocation breakdown by each of the category.
There's a lot of slides like
And
that.
one contain the employee benefit, went 4 million up.
Yeah, so, let's take a look.
Will you please?
Talking about this one?
No, up,
This one?
up. Yes, this one.
Okay, go ahead.
And
What's your question?
employee benefits there, and the plus and the minus difference, 4 million
Right.
there.
So
What
I
else
yep.
is there? So
This
what
is-
you're saying is
Nope,
three
different items, comparing different things. We went over this in the budget meetings. I'm gonna try my best. This is my final answer on this one. Employee benefits and health benefits are two different things. Health benefits is just one part of employee benefits. Employee benefits are Social Security, the public employer's contribution that's required for the board to match everybody that's in PERS. These are
No, I'm
Hey,
asking
no,
the
no, let me
employee
finish.
healthcare
No.
contribution flow back to the general fund. I'm not asking.
I apologize. I really don't follow you. Could you rephrase your question differently?
So.
Because you're going in a couple
each
different
pay-
directions.
The house, for full-time employee, each paycheck, they have to pay approximately some money
Mhm.
to their health care contribution too then, and that money will flow back into the general fund, right?
No. As I said before, when I calculate the healthcare obligation for the board for next year, I back out the employee contribution to come up with our total obligation.
Oh, no.
I've said that a couple of times. Like I said, this is not easy stuff. It's okay if it's tricky, but I've explained this as many ways as I can. That's why I'm my third decade doing this. Let me finish, please.
One question at a time, please. Thank you.
Employee benefits, here's the key takeaway from this question. Employee benefits and healthcare benefits, two different things. Healthcare is one component of everything that's under the category of employee benefits. I went into depth with this in the budget meetings. I've given you the best answer that I can. That's going to end this question. I'm going to go to the next one. Go
No,
ahead.
I was actually talking to Dr. Van. I had this similar confusion before, but then when he just explained, I understood. I was thinking that the number, that whatever $24 million stuff, I was thinking that's exactly what we are getting from the broker. That's not the number. That $24 million has a lot of calculation, and employee contribution is already in there, and then a dental, and then the vision, and everything is in there. That's the net.
Oh, it's already the net.
And then you deduct this year's the whole calculation, and then that's the difference, 3,500,000, whatever that
Oh.
thing. That's so that employee contribution is already in that $24 million.
Okay.
Even I had the same confusion, but just now when he explained,
Okay.
I understood that. So I was also
Yeah.
trying to find out where is the employee contribution. If our total bill is 24 million,
Yeah.
where is the employee contribution? but that is already included in that.
That, Ms. Nargon, that was an excellent explanation, so thank you for that. Sometimes people hear things differently. My wife gets very mad when somebody else says something to me, and she's like, I've said that. So I'm saying it at the public meeting on the recording. Sometimes we understand things differently when different people say them.
And sometimes you can read, you don't understand, but somebody explains you like verbally.
Yeah.
Then, oh yes, that makes. I had the exact same question as you did, but now I will go home and I will just analyze the whole thing, and then now I'll be completely satisfied.
Gotcha.
If there was any more money that we could get to the healthcare contribution, trust me, I'd love to get it. If you want to come to my office and look at this,
Yeah, we talked about that. I know you're working.
you can look at it. Like there, I don't know. There's nothing to hide.
Yeah. You have got. I know we had a question about the head count question. I think we got that question answered.
Yeah, I did have superintendent responded to me. I had the same question about head counts, and then she did say that. But I do know that when they say there will be staff cuts, right?
Yeah.
I understood something that's the exact number will be cut, but then there could be some additions also, because there are some programs we need teachers.
Yeah.
So just because we say this number is that, and so we have to give some room for addition also. So that was my confusion. So
Gotcha.
And then she explained me.
Right, thank you. I actually had that question too, is because last year we heard the union president here come and talk about the 15 FTE reduction from last year's budget, you know. So when I look at the auditor report, it just showed 10 employee decrease from 2024 to 2025. And additionally, last summer, we had 42 retirements in the June. So that's why I just want to be a little bit transparent to the community. Is really last year is how many about the job reduction and how many rehires, you know, because when people hear about 15 FTE reduction, they feel like it's all just not filled in, but it looks like some positions got filled in, right?
No, Miss Madison, take this one, because she's in HR.
Okay, so the information that I was asked to take a look at, I was able to respond to also and share with the board. The charts and the schedules that you're looking at are from different times of the year and collecting different information about staff. So, for example, one person may say, give me a count of teaching staff. And we take it from the everyone who falls under the salary guide of the teachers, which would include the school counselors, which would include child study, which would include a lot of different titles besides teacher. Another report might ask for the same information and define it by saying we want strictly teachers. We don't want school counselors and child study and the school nurses and so forth. So when you see a difference in those numbers, they can be caused by a lot of different data analysis points, and again, I was able to share that with all of you. In addition to that, when we pull reports from our data banks, some reports have data collected from an October 15th deadline, which is a state deadline. Some reports that we might pull are from June 30th, some are from September 1st, and some are from today. So unless the qualifications are strictly defined and talked about in the apples to apples rather than apples to oranges, it's going to appear that we're not getting clear, transparent information. So again, I hope what I provided to all of you was transparent and was able to clear up some of the questions.
Thank you, Kelsey.
Julie, to Mary and Andrew, and just to be clear, I believe like a lot of these healthcare increases are statewide, right? This is not something localized to Montgomery. Everybody, all school districts are
Absolutely
going
not.
to the same
Not from
scenario.
talking to all of my peers have very similar unfortunate increases.
And you did mention like understanding where enrollment's at, our staffing is also having it. It's similar as far as the reduction. So we want to maintain the same level. I believe you guys are doing the right balance there. If we cut too much, we're going to sacrifice the standard of education that we have here at Montgomery, which is something we don't want to do. So I thank you for at least balancing that out. That part's clear. And I think you did mention too, you are looking at alternatives in future years, things we could possibly do to control some of these costs, but it's a long road, things we have to explore, and I think it's something you guys can probably come back to in a couple of months.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
The OFF committee should have a presentation by the May meeting from our health insurance broker on some of those initiatives that I'm working on with him. So hopefully it's something that we can explore and take advantage of in the future.
Thank you. And again, what you mentioned, there's $2.4 million of facilities related projects that have to be cut.
Sure.
Because we have to prioritize, right? This comes first. This level of education comes first. But can you elaborate a little bit on like what facilities projects we would like to get to, but we just can't because we have to prioritize some things over others? Like what?
Sure, like I'll give an idea. Like one of the projects that we wanted to do was replace the bleachers in the lower middle school. The bleachers in the lower middle school, this is a big basketball area out here in Montgomery. They're older, more traditional wooden bleachers, whereas if you look at a high school, they have like the hard resin plastic bleachers that are electric, go up and down. That was in the budget. We had to remove that. It's about $400,000. Like they add up quickly, so that's a fraction of the $2.4 million. So little projects like that throughout the building, paving and sidewalk improvements. If you've ever been to LMS, like the parking lot and sidewalk over there, we wanted to kind of chip away and do something like that. We couldn't do it. So Mike O'Neill meets with all of the different building principals and he puts together what is a priority, what's a wish list, and basically the priority items are in the budget, but some of the wish list items like bleachers, upgrades to like LED lights in gyms, like different like pads with designs around the gyms to kind of upgrade them, which would be nice, things like that. 50,000 here, 150,000 there. Those were all cut out of the budget because as much as we want those things and we want this place to look great, we can't kind of entertain things like that at the expense of like instruction and just running those programs to begin with. So that's kind of an idea of the items
And we
that
also wanted to
are
upgrade some equipment and trucks.
right. Yep, those are the things too. But more, I just wanted to kind of speak of the facility projects. These are projects that we can live without, but unfortunately they'll probably cost us a little bit more in the future. So it's hard to strike the balance to do the ones that are necessary and take care of your investment and push the ones to the future that you know that you can kind of want to do but live without. That's the best way I can explain that.
Any other questions from the board?
I have two comments. First one is about teacher-student ratio. So I know I mentioned about the auditor report in J17 before. I asked about the difference, 68 difference between the teaching staff, certified staff versus the instruction, which add up to 383. So if we just look at that ratio here for middle school and high school is 1 versus 9. Why I'm asking about that is because I don't think certified staff, such as a nurse, should be counted towards in that teacher and student ratio because they're not really teaching staff, even though they're certified staff. That's why I keep, yeah. Oh, I want to mention about that is because it's more, it will be more accurately reflect the teacher and student ratio if we use the number 383 instead of 448, that number. And that's the number actually across other school districts what they use. Because when you talk about a budget have implications on the staff reduction, and people are going to look at that, say right now we have a ratio of 1 versus 9, and it's close to a private school ratio. Actually, that does not benefit your claims, you know? So that's the reason why I'm asking about the clarification for that one. And second is about the enrollment trend. If you can see that enrollment trend, in the past 10 years, we did increase. So as an educator, my first question is always, and you heard from me from last year, multiple discussions about the disenrollment. How many of our students could we have retained? So caring for students, I mentioned before, is supporting them while they're here and understanding why they leave. So when the past year, when I asked about these questions, a couple of board members questioned why disenrollment should be even exempt, which is difficult, make it very difficult for others to ask follow-up questions. So after extensive discussion and board member Vanita's research, The district shared that we have on average about 200 enrolled students per year over the past few years. So let's just make some assumptions here. If we had retained even 5% of those students over the past few years, we could have increased our state aid or potentially preserved several full-time positions. This echoes what I said before, is decreasing, retain our students means have implications on our full-time staff and also have implications of programs too. So these challenges exist. I want to acknowledge that the healthcare did increase, enrollment went down, state aid went down. So it's very hard. That's why I'm asking is when board member ask questions, I hope we can be more supportive to seek for the answers. Then we can make more informative decision and maintain our community's trust. So thank you, that's just my comments.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board?
I would just like to make a brief comment. I am fully in support of raising taxes. I know it's a hard decision to make, but I was talking to a friend of mine who lives in Robbinsville. Their board meeting is tonight also, and she told me that they are only raising their taxes 2%, she believes, and they will be eliminating all extracurricular activities to make their budget. So I'm just saying that so that people understand the importance of really keeping the quality of our schools. The extracurriculars is part of it. And I would also like to point out, because I think there's some confusion, when you say a house is assessed at $509,000, my next door neighbor's house was assessed at $506,000, but just sold under a year ago for $1 million. So I want people to assess value is not your selling value, and it's really important that people understand that. So that was I believe it was $509 million assessment, and it sold for almost $1 million. I just want to point that out.
The assessment cards just went out recently.
So can we, I remember.
Hold on 1 second, then Vinny has a question.
That's an excellent point, actually. A lot of people do get confused, and you see your assessed value in your tax papers, right? So, my question is about, I see 16.1% for special services, the percentage-wise. So has our special ed student populations gone up this year, or is it the same?
So are you referring to the pie chart?
Yeah.
That includes all teachers, related service, everybody, special education, transportation, everything for the special education students is in that piece of the pie.
Our out-of-district placements, I'll piggyback off that, are actually anticipated based on like enrollment to actually go down for the first time in years next year by a slight amount.
See, is that because we have initiated some more programs
Yes.
in our district? Okay. Yes, thank you.
Any other questions?
Oh, can I clarify? So this year's what you presented for impact, the average assessed value, it's kind of similar in 2023 when we voted to convert it to a full day kindergarten at value, right?
I didn't work here in 2023, I can't speak to that.
Very good.
We have the auditor do the assessment, so he gets all that data from the township for the average assessed value of the homes. And just from a quick look that I did, it looks like the homes haven't been reassessed in like 20 years probably. So I
No, I
would
was
say
just
it
gonna
probably
say, I just
is
got
the
my
same.
assessment postcard.
It was the same assessment back in 2022.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, thank you, Mr. Italiano and Superintendent McLaughlin for that report. We'll now move to committee representative reports. MTA report, Mr. Rizzoli.
Good evening, everybody. Let's start off on a positive note. Read Across America was really fantastic this year. All right. Thank you for all of those of you who attended. It was much appreciated. We had 57 different guest readers in 48 of our different classrooms. We had a whole variety. A lot of you joined in, our staff from Superintendent McLaughlin down to all of some of our teachers and staff were getting around to classrooms, community members. It was just awesome. And for anyone who doesn't work elementary, they always come up with interesting questions. Like, they ask, how old are you? You're like 55, right? Like, they really dive in there. I'm like, oh, you might not be my favorite right now. I'm not sure how I feel about that. So, but you're appreciated very much so by participating and joining in. The kids love having different visitors and everyone coming in. We piggybacked that with a special visit from the author. We had a virtual read-along by Gita Bajahan. Hopefully I'm not butchering their name too bad. So they came and read their book. It was fantastic. The kids really loved it. And then I heard we had an amazing reader for Holly last month. All the kids stopped me in the hallway and told me how good that person was. It may have been me, and the data may be skewed, but that's what happened. They told me, wow, fantastic. So good luck to whoever's up next. You know, you probably can keep up. And then next month, we're going to start with our Spiritware for recycling program. So if you have Spiritware, it was a huge hit last year, and people brought in just different shirts, sweatshirts, jackets, all those things. So if you have gear that you know your kids are growing out of, or you just have, people going to college, they don't want the high school gear anymore, they're like, I'm over that, please feel free to drop them off in the buildings. We'll be happy to take it. Stacey Anderson does a good job of getting it all kind of organized so people can come and pick stuff up. So please do so. And as for our budget, I just want to say thank you for all the work you're going to put in, and you're going to be looking at all this stuff. We know we had tough decisions last year that impacted us greatly, and we got to keep the level of education here in Montgomery as top as it can be. So I appreciate all the time and effort that went into presenting this, and we know you're going to do with the best you can. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Next up, board member, delegate, and representative reports. Do we have any this evening?
Montgomery Rocky Hill Municipal Alliance and Municipal Youth Service Commission. So meeting was held on Monday, March 9th. Sacred Solace, health educator, will be stepping down from her role with Montgomery Township as of April 2nd. We will surely miss her and we wish her the best. And board member Catherine Warland and I attended meeting. I would like to thank Township and the Board of Education for giving me this opportunity to collaborate with such a committed group of individuals. Only one thing I thought I just wanted to mention here is upcoming events are the Beyond the Screen, presenting in the digital world, and conversation continues. Sounds like a very, very interesting event. It's happening in conjunction with Montgomery High School. In partnering with Township Alliance on Wednesday, April 22nd from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. at Upper Middle School. District personnel-led workshop will focus on important topics of AI, tech-free play, digital citizenship, etc. Please register in advance. Childcare will be provided for ages 5 and up. The flyer is posted on our school website. The next meeting is scheduled on May 11th at 7 p.m. Thank you.
Any questions for board member Gardner? Hearing none, we'll now move into board committee reports. First up is Assessment, Curriculum, and Instruction Committee.
Excuse me, can I just do a quick highlight of the PTA?
I'm so sorry.
No, that's all right. I'll make it very quick because there's a lot of repeat between our student rep and all the our different speakers. PTA, just some of the highlights is International Night will be approaching. So look out for the event and signing up, and you can volunteer and attend. Their yearbook sales are occurring right now, so there's a price decrease if you buy ahead. That was one. PTO for the middle schools. Spring social is coming up in May. For the lower middle, upper middle has a Color Me Mine painting social. Duct tape the principals, appreciation week with faculty. And really all the schools are getting ready for their new, the next incoming grades. So, you know, the lower middle school, 6th graders are getting ready, and they just visited the upper middle school. We have our village students who are visiting the lower middle school, and our upper middle school students visiting high school, etc. And then really for the high school, again, this was already shared, and GPA exams occurred, Mean Girls, musical was fantastic, and what else? There was some feedback on Mashios, which we are going to learn more about, just about healthier options, looking into more vegetarian options, things of that nature. So that'll be a discussion to have as well. Thank you.
Board member Harris, a quick question. I know you mentioned a couple of meetings ago about the lack of volunteerism with some of the PTOs. Has that increased?
That's a good question. I can't answer that. I know that at our last night, actually, there's a parent night for the upper middle school, and a really great point that was made. There's different ways to volunteer. So a lot of times, if families can't commit, just the actually becoming a member, that funding is a big part of a lot of these organizations. So just to think about that as well, just to join each organization, whether it's PTA, PTO, or PTSA. So, but I can look into that and find out for you.
Can I ask a question? Like, Ms. Harris, you mentioned about Mashio, so there's feedback again about the food service. So my question, and Mr. Delion, you don't have to answer this right now because that's putting you in the spot, but this is probably for OFF, given that you attend the quarterly sit-downs with the committee of students in Mashio, so curious about feedback that you've been hearing or what we're looking to do to, I guess, improve offerings.
Last month I was at the meeting at LMS, and the students, they're great, because at that age they're going to tell you everything. And there was a lot of positive feedback, and there were things that the students said that, hey, like there's a lot of things for children at that age, like texture, quality issues, things that they liked, they didn't like. So it didn't necessarily mean the food was bad or not healthy, but they were kind of sharing their opinion on what they enjoyed and what they didn't. And the purpose that you do that is because the food service manager and representative is there with like the building principal, the vice principal, and we take that feedback in. So we kind of try to adjust the menu going forward with respect to the guidelines from the federal government to try to say, okay, like how can we take this feedback and adjust? So the feedback was good, but there's kind of things that the students prefer and don't, but we take that into consideration and try to adjust accordingly. And Ms. Harris reached out to me recently to say when the upcoming meetings were, and I shared them with her. And I'll be in attendance with those, and I will continue to take the feedback and adjust accordingly.
Thank you. Quick question. Are those panels for every building, or just, do they do it for the high school as well?
So they do, to my knowledge, they do them like at every building, like twice a year, like at a minimum. So I know some of the ones that you missed, they already had their 2 meetings, but I asked them to do another one anyway so that we could attend them together. And I think that was part of the emails that I shared with you within the last week.
Thank you for your response and help.
You're welcome. We'll get to them together, and then we'll see what they have to say, and then we'll hold them accountable to the changes.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Now we're moving to board committee reports. Assessment Curriculum Activity Construction Committee, Board Member Harris.
So ACI met, 2 weeks ago now, and during our meeting, we discussed textbook recommendations for 7th and 8th grade French. The Writing Revolution Professional Development was also discussed, which is broken down to TWR. It's a training that will be for all LMS ELA teachers at 7th and 8th grade interventionists. The training is built around the science of writing with explicit instruction techniques. This is based on scaffolding methodology, tongue twister, building a curriculum ladder for students who are not where they need to be. The training will cost approximately $12,000 and be funded through ESEA Title II funds. The 3rd and 4th grade supervisor reviewing a complementary program to implement at BES. Also, we discussed math placement. In the 24-25 school year, we provided an option that allowed identified students in Math 6 integrated and Math 7 who did not meet the initial criteria for algebra to sit for an algebra readiness exam. This was a very successful experience last year, and we will continue moving forward with it. This year, we will identify eligible students before June so they know their placement before the school year ends. Eligibility criteria for all math courses can easily be found on the middle school math webpage under course options, and e-blast will go out to families in the upcoming weeks, directing parents to the website. The NJSLS update, 5 content areas are up for revision. Proposed for the spring are BPA, college and career readiness, world language, science, and computer design. When the state reaches the adoption phase, we will be told when to implement the revisions. We also spent a big chunk of the meeting discussing courtship for graduate, which Corey presented and did a wonderful job, so thank you. What else? preschool self-contained classrooms are doing a trial of TeachTown for preschool. We have 6 total preschool classrooms, 3 self-contained, 3 integrated. None are co-taught, and these classrooms are looking for more curricular support to enhance the general education curriculum. Some of our primary self-contained classes are already using TeachTown, so for the feedback, so far the feedback from the staff has been really positive.
Any questions for Board Member Harris?
I don't have a question, but I do have a comment. It's really, I want to take a moment to support the use of the explicit instruction, the science of writing, as you just heard from the report, and also want to make a comment on the school district reading curriculum. So I want to urge the board to evaluate the TC unit of study and consider phasing them out. The NJTSS ER project developed a rigorous curriculum scoring rubric that many New Jersey school districts have used to assess reading program, and in many cases move away from the unit of study. While our school district patched in BLAST and HD curriculum, the TC unit of study have been used at our Monty School District since 2011, and it's time to examine whether they truly meet our student needs. I also want to thank you, Monty, for providing the Blue Atlas curriculum website, which offers detailed week-to-week study plan. This level of transparency and planning is rare. In many New Jersey school districts, some school districts in other states, such as Minnesota, where some of my colleagues work, do not provide this much level of detail. It is clear, requires extensive work and planning. It's a resource that should inform our curriculum conversations. So tomorrow, NJTSS ER will present their results online session hosted by NJDOE. I encourage board members at the ACI committee to sign up and learn about the project and its measurable outcomes, which have impacted more than 80 school districts in New Jersey over the past 10 years. Districts like ours should rely on evidence-based research and outcomes. I have also referenced Mississippi Miracles multiple times with school administrators and board members. As elected, unpaid officials, I believe we're here because we're passionate about what we're doing and committed to benefit Monty students. Taking the time to understanding curriculum and cross-cutting research is an investment in our students' learning. This year, I was not appointed to serve on the ACI committee, but I will continue presenting at many national educator conferences to continue sharing my volunteer work and research. NJTSS ER, like Mississippi Miracles, has made long-term commitments that yielding strong results. I hope school districts in New Jersey, including those in greater Princeton area, take advantage of these lessons. Our students deserve nothing less, regardless of family income. Thank you.
I just wanted a clarifying point. For when you talk about the TC, you mean the Teachers College reading curriculum? Yeah, okay, I just wanted to clear that up. And then I had one item to note about your discussion of the Mississippi Miracle. That's something that I've been doing a lot of reading about. It's been covered a couple times. And I think it is worth looking into understanding what they had done, but I think it's also important to see the drawbacks in some of that. It was a specific school that had extensive funding poured in for having designated people to work on reading literacy. And those students did make significant gains in literacy, but then in a longitudinal look, their comprehension wasn't necessarily having improvements. So I think it is very good to look at both the literacy piece, but also the long term. Do those students then go on to maintain high scores across comprehension? And I think there was still a little bit of a gap there, that there's some things to learn as benefits, but one of the pieces was pouring a lot of money into the school to have a lot of designated people helping. So just kind of understanding, what does that mean from a budgetary perspective? If we say, okay, our goal is a certain literacy benchmark, how much would that cost to have a lot of people there to have specialized resources? And perhaps, as you're suggesting, that maybe a reevaluation of the curriculum might be able to do it without putting more people in, but in that case, that specific instance, both from what I've been reading and I have a personal connection there as well, a sister-in-law who worked in Mississippi, and she said, yeah, they just poured a ton of money into the school district. So just trying to understand exactly what we're able to do within budgetary constraints and how we can also support our students both at literacy and comprehension.
A but it's good to have the conversation started, right? And that's kind of reflected on the longitudinal data. It takes them 10 years. Even for NJTSS ER project, they worked on 80 school districts in New Jersey. And it's a lot of work, absolutely. And then I think it's time to revisit these questions, since right now we're talking about budget, huge increase here.
And the one item I wanted to add from the ACI meeting is that the mention of the textbook, that was going to be, again, a digital textbook. And so we have discussed, Ms. Borland said she would come back to us with more information about what is offered by a digital textbook versus a physical textbook. Because we've been having those conversations about the uses of the screens for the students versus a physical resource and trying to understand what are the pros and cons of each. Rather than, that's why it was tabled, so that we have more time to evaluate it.
It's good to hear. Thank you.
One more.
I would just like to make an additional comment that New Jersey just passed a law a year or two ago, and now all elementary school students are being screened more often. And so that's a brand new thing. There's a lot of new resources coming from the Department of Education. And the new Commissioner of Education is really very focused on early literacy and seeing the results of that. But this is the first year, I believe. My microphone just went out. This is the first year, I believe, that we'll be doing those screenings all the time, and so that should also change the system.
Thank you. Any more questions? Hearing none, moving on to Operations, Facilities, and Finance Committee, Board Member Franco Herman.
So I'm going to be quick because Mr. Italiano covered the majority of the conversation that we had at OFF on March 10, which was a high-level discussion on the budget, but also wanted to highlight that we had at the top of the hour representatives from Brown & Brown, who are our health insurance broker, and Mr. Jim Finn came to talk about the projected increases in health benefit costs, and the committee was asking questions about strategies to mitigate the rising rates, and as Mr. Italiano noted, that we are having Mr. Finn back to OFF in the spring, he said May, right? We asked for May to give us options about what what mitigations we can expect or options that we can take a look at for the next year in terms of the healthcare costs.
All right, any questions? Hearing none, we'll move on to Policy and Communications Committee, VP Spina.
Good evening. The Policy Committee met virtually on Monday, March 9th to discuss policies and regulations that are up for first reading tonight, as well as abolishment. The first is up for adoption is Policy 0142.1 on nepotism, which per state statute requires every Board of Ed to implement a nepotism policy that must include the provisions of NJAC 6A:23A-6.2. So it is backed by law as a condition of receiving state aid, making this a mandated policy for all school districts. The updates also included Policy 0174 for legal services, and that is an update to the current policy implementing a strategy to minimize the cost of professional services, including legal services. Policy 1220 is employment of the chief school administrator, has been updated to incorporate some revisions to the legal citations. CUSAC Governance 3 requires that a board to adopt this policy, and it has to address the review and approval of the superintendent's employment contract by the executive county superintendent. And the last one that is up for first reading tonight is Policy and Regulation 1552, which is a sexual harassment policy and regulation. So both are new. They will now address the topic of sexual harassment in the school district and incorporate two separate federal regulations requiring actions by a school district in response to a complaint of sexual harassment. Federal law requires written policies and procedures, and these documents address all of the requirements of the law in a single source, which then brings me to the abolishment policies, because what we are doing with Policy and Regulation 1552 is replacing two different policies, which used to be the sexual harassment policies, which were 3362 and 4352. So tonight we will vote to abolish those two and accept as first reading the new law and policy. And then also under abolishment of policy is 1648.15, which is no longer needed anymore, thankfully, because it is the record keeping for healthcare settings in school buildings for COVID-19 under the state of New Jersey, which is no longer in enforcement. The record keeping is not, yes, thank goodness, is right. So there was quite a robust discussion of these policies, and there was additional discussion afterwards about some of the meeting dates. So we are currently looking to see if we can have availability for all members. There was some miscommunication in scheduling, so please be on the lookout, committee members, for further instruction and updates to our calendar invites. Also, we had a brief update on the K through 4 feasibility study, which we will continue at some point at a later time. And that we also discussed how our budget meeting was going to be pushed back to tonight from the 17th. One additional conversation that happened was Dr. Wang had brought up a few questions. A member of the committee inquired about discussing policies related to contract thresholds, curriculum approval, and our GMT, Gifted and Talented, at future meetings, which is under consideration. I would also like to point out that in policy 0142.1, the nepotism policy, please take a look at the third page during your first reading of this, and if you have any discussion questions tonight on the optional line for that, there is an option which states, in accordance with NJAC 6A:23A-62B, per diem substitutes and student employees who are relatives of a board member or the superintendent shall be excluded from the provision of this policy and that legal statute. It is under the recommendation of the superintendent that we do include that optional language in. It is the opinion of Dr. Wang that we do not. Myself and the other two board members on the committee are in support of leaving that optional language in the policy.
Any questions?
I want to make a comment on that, why I'm do not pro for that section is because I remember for the board member policy training, the legal recommendation was if there is a hesitation, better not adopt the provision. While the per diem component does not involve a large amount of money, it does introduce a potential sensitivity topic for elected officials, and we are all elected officials, so we have to be aware of that. That's the rationale why I recommend not to adopt that optional section.
Any other questions? All right, hearing none. Human Resources Committee met virtually on Thursday, March 19th. Most of the items that we discussed were confidential in nature. However, there are two items that I can't discuss. We had a discussion about the collective bargaining agreement for the Transportation Department that supports and encourages employees to enroll in continuing education classes, and this falls in alignment with other collective bargaining agreements, and the committee continues to support this initiative. And we also talked about the 2026-2027 personnel roster, which will be discussed and voted upon on the April 28th board agenda. Any questions? Hearing none. At this time, the board acknowledges all correspondence to the board. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to enter into executive session.
So moved. Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to enter into executive sessions. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor state aye. Aye. All those opposed, same right. And we will try to be brief. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to reconvene in open session.
So moved. Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to reconvene in open session. Any questions on the motion? Roll call, please, Mr. Taliano.
Dr. Wang?
Here.
Ms. Pfeffer? Yes. Spina?
Yes.
Ms. Franco Herman? Warland?
Yes.
Ms. Harris?
Yes.
Ms. Nunez? Here. Ms. Narvan?
Yes.
Mr. Todd?
Yes.
Thank you. Yes, please. We can do that.
Okay, approval of minutes. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the minutes of the following board meetings. February 24th, 2026, executive session. February 24th, 2026, business meeting. Is there a motion to accept the minutes?
So moved.
Seconded.
It's been properly moved and second. Any questions on the minutes? All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say aye. Excuse me. All those opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carried. Mr. Taliano.
Okay.
No worries. Action agenda items, public comment. The Board of Education welcomes and encourages input from the public. Members of the public are allotted one opportunity to address the board regarding the action agenda items only for up to a maximum of 3 minutes per speaker. All comments must be directed to the board. Before you make your comment, please state your full name and address and enter both on the Chromebook provided. Being mindful of privacy rights regarding students, board employees, and board members, and to avoid any liability on the part of the speaker, the board discourages defamatory and discourteous remarks. The public comment portions of the meeting are not structured as question and answer sessions, but rather are offered as opportunities for the public to share their thoughts with the board. The board may need to refer an issue to the superintendent if the issue has not been handled through the appropriate chain of command, usually starting at the school level. Responses may be provided at the end of this session.
Mike Rizzoli speaking as MTA president on the budget. There was some commentary that's concerning about the positions that were lost last year, and I think it needs to be addressed because in one breath we talk transparency, and in another we use numbers to kind of skew the facts, right? We did lose 60 positions last year. How do I know that? I can go back to May's board meeting last year in the minutes, which all of these board members, all but 3 of these board members were part of, where those positions were abolished. Not retirements, not any of those things, they were abolished. So it is concerning that all but 3 board members were in on all of those meetings, sat through all that information, received all the same things, and then could come back almost a year later and say that didn't happen. It's quite concerning. Beyond the numbers, because some of us are stuck on numbers, I can tell you, we have extra classrooms here at Orchard that are open. We had 4 color teams at UMS, we're down to 3 because we lost positions. And I find it disrespectful to my staff who picked up that extra work to say that that didn't happen. And for those people who may not have a position here anymore, who I sat through those meetings with and had to deal with that emotional impact of something that's different, I just find that extremely upsetting and extremely concerning. Especially because I know everyone who's part of this board had all that information in those meetings. It's not like anyone hides info or we alter info, that is the info. So to say that that didn't happen or to skew that something else happened is just not true. It is unacceptable. Thank you.
Good evening. I just also wanted to make a comment about the healthcare increases and potential solutions that I'm hoping the board will look into. I appreciate the comment that board member Franco Harmon made about taking initiative to talk to Jim Finn from Brown & Brown and really investigate what options are truly available for us and what we can do next year to maybe mitigate the increases that are presented to us. I took a look at the historical costs of the healthcare benefits in this district, and I just wanted to share some reflections because something has changed, and I think maybe there is an opportunity to have a deeper review and just address some of those issues. So before June 2023, Montgomery was a self-insured district. The district had, at that time, had full visibility to its healthcare costs. It had visibility to control and full control over the plan design. They had a stop loss protection to cut unexpected losses. Then the decision was made in, I guess, working with Brown & Brown and move Montgomery into SHIF, which is kind of like a collective fund of the healthcare insurance benefits. The promise that was made to us was to make the coverage better or the same. And also I remember at the meeting where Brown & Brown was presenting that they promised us $1 million in savings. Well, that never really materialized. Before we changed to SHIF, the 3 immediate years before we changed into SHIF, we had a healthcare increase, the annual healthcare increase of 2.62%, 1.8%, 3.75%. The very first year when we changed to SHIF, the increase went up to 14.5%. That should be already a red light that this is not for us and something is wrong. Why is this, solution too expensive? It's because they have so many layers of management fees, commission-based, compensation that really doesn't really go and provide benefit to our district, does not really help us save positions of our teachers. It really is money spent on some administrators and SHIF. So I'm hoping that you guys will look into it. Thank you.
Any other comments from the public on action agenda items? Hearing or seeing none, public comments on action agenda items is now closed. Mr. Italiano, you had a walk-on.
Yes, I have an amendment to the agenda. I have a walk-on resolution. We're going to call it A1. I'm happy to announce that there's been an agreement that's finalized between the MTA and the Board of Education, so I wanted to give it special attention and read it on, have conversation, and then a vote. So I'm going to read the resolution as follows. Whereas the Montgomery Township Board of Education and the Montgomery Township Educational Association have negotiated a successor collective negotiated agreement for the 2025-2026, 2026-2027, and 2027-28 school years, and whereas the association has, by majority of votes membership, ratified the CNA, now therefore be it resolved that the board hereby ratify and approve the terms of the CNA for the 25-26, 26-27, and 27-28 school years, which is attached to this resolution and made part hereof, and be it further resolved that the board hereby authorize the board president and the business administrator to execute on behalf of the board the CNA by and between the board and the association. So that is the resolution to finalize this agreement. Thank Mr. Rizzoli and his team through that process. We're happy that it's done. Look forward to working with you for the rest of the year and the rest of the agreement. And I'm going to open the floor to the board. Any comments or questions? If not, then I'll take the roll call vote. Dr. Wang?
Yes.
Ms. Pfeffer? Abstain. Ms. Spina?
Yes.
Ms. Franco-Herman? Yes. Noted. Ms. Warland?
Yes.
Ms. Harris? Mr. Nunez?
Yes.
Ms. Nargan?
Yes.
Mr. Tal?
Enthusiastically, yes.
Thank you. The motion carries. Congratulations.
Well done, Mr. Rizzoli, to you and your team. Thank you for the process. It was a little longer than we anticipated, but we got through it, so thank you again. All right, at this time, I will entertain a motion to adopt action agenda items 1.1 through 4.1.
I will suggest. Second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and seconded to adopt action agenda numbers 1.1 through 1.1 through 4.1. Any questions on the motion?
3.7, I have just a question.
Okay.
We are approving 112,115. My question is this a timeline that it's a 1 year renewal, or why are we doing now, not in the beginning of the school year?
I don't have that in front of me. I'm sure there's probably an overlap with the agreement, but to be honest with you, I don't have the contract in front of me. This was presented to me by my purchasing agent, so I could follow up with you tomorrow morning to ask you why, but to answer why.
Because these are all the services we use, all through the year, but starting from new school year.
Not every agreement always begins July 1st, so I don't want to say that's what the purpose is for here, but I was asked to do this evening. Maybe there's terms in the agreement, there could be various reasons. Next time for such a question, it would be better to ask the question before we're at the board table, because then I'd have my resources to answer it, but as a courtesy, I'll answer it tomorrow. But this is our frontline education services for next school year itemized.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the motion?
I have a question for the board lawyer. We're gonna pay $184K. Where is he?
That is the estimated amount that we will spend with them next year. It's a requirement to list the professional services as part of the budget resolution. In a perfect world, we would hope that we wouldn't need any of it, but this is an active district. They spend a lot of money in legal fees, so that's the estimate for next school year. If we tried to get along, maybe we would spend a little bit less next year. That's my advice.
So you have to remember, every time there's a question, every time there's an email, those are billable hours.
They usually get billed starting in 15-minute increments.
In the past, I've asked whether or not we could see like a trend report on that, how that looked over the last few years compared to maybe 5 to 10 years ago.
That's easy enough. I could do that.
Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Can you make a note to do
Any other questions on the motion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Dr. White.
So for 1.2, that policy regulation first reading, policy 0142, as Judge mentioned about that controversial thing can bring to the elected officials, I want to take out the optional section. So,
1 second, please. Okay, so are you voting yes to everything except policy 0142 that you stated?
yeah, the optional section.
Okay, and so that's noted and yes to all the other resolutions?
Correct, yes to all.
Okay, noted, thank you. We just wanted to make the correct notation.
Yes.
Ms. Spina?
Yes.
Ms. Franco-Herman?
Yes.
Ms. Moreland?
Yes.
Ms. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Nunez?
Yes.
Ms. Nargon? Yes. Mr. Todd?
Yes.
Thank you, motion's carried.
Thank you. New business from the public. The Board of Education welcomes and encourages input from the public. Members of the public are allotted one opportunity to bring any new business to the board for up to a maximum of 3 minutes per speaker. All comments must be directed to the board. Before you make your comment, please state your full name and address and enter both on the Chromebook provided. Being mindful of privacy rights regarding students, board employees, and board members, and to avoid any potential liability on the part of the speaker, the board discourages defamatory and discourteous remarks. The public comment portions of the meeting are not structured as question and answer sessions. The board may need to refer an issue to the superintendent if the issue has not been handled through the appropriate chain of command, usually starting at the school level. Responses may be provided at the end of this session. Any comments from the public? Hearing and seeing none, public comment portion is closed. Any closing discussion for the board? Hearing and seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to adjourn. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstentions? Same right? Meeting closed. Thank you all for coming out. We appreciate it.